Hello and welcome to Indie Gaga. We have with us a very special performer for two reasons. First of all, she's a woman, there's no prejudice here. But the second reason being that she's from Jammu and Kashmir and a Kashmiri Pandit as well. Let me welcome a lady who is not scared to really talk about who she is, and she does it with music. And this is Abha. Welcome, Abha Hanjra. How are you?
Hi. Hi, Siddharth. I'm very good. How are you? And
I'm
thank you so
fine.
much for having me. Such a pleasure.
For us, it's very important because the first time we had ladies on the show, yes, but one who's been a Kashmiri Pandit, the identity itself says a lot. Where you come from says a lot. Of course, you have to thank your brother for more ways than one to pull you out from where you were. If not, you'll still be sitting there, I'm guessing. But from, I think, Indian Idol to here, the journey for you has been immense.
Yeah.
And also, when you tell me that you were 18 years old when you became an Indian Idol, and people are coming for autographs, and from there suddenly you get this slap on your face, and okay, this is a reality. If I want to really take my music from here, what do I do? Apart
I
from
didn't
that,
become Indian Idol. No.
no, I know, I'm aware of that. So I'm
I
saying
was
you.
uh, I was one of the finalists, and yeah, so that was also big at that time. But yeah, it was like very exciting.
So let me ask you, what was your influences in music? We'll come to your Kashmiri background, of course, because that's very important. I need to ask that question. But your influence in music, where did that come from?
Influence is essentially very like I'm a lot into whatever I'm very tuned into whatever is happening in the South Asian music culture that overall. So for the basis of that influence has always been in rooted music, which is Sufi or folk or even ghazal for that matter. I have grown up on a very good dose of ghazal singing and learning, and I think ghazal draws from folk as well as Sufi in some ways, but it is also like a very simple, light version of and classical, of course. So for me, these three kind of got married into me ending up listening to a lot of Jagjit Singh as I was growing up, and Jagjit Saab was one of those artists who I idolized. Even for who he like, according to me, he's a rock star. He used to fill up stadiums doing his thing. And he really like revolutionized. Genre of music which was very mehfil based, only very small in terms of its audience, also purist in terms of their how they would do a ghazal, but he completely took it out and did a new thing with it, and suddenly there was a lot of young audience that he drew into the genre. That whole story for me is very exciting as an artist, so I try to do that with folk pop music that way, while doing my own thing with it, but like using that influence. So there was a lot of Sufi folk ghazal in the house as I was growing up, and my mom also taught me singing when I was. She is also she used to sing. She learned classical music, so she kind of turned, first tuned into my capability a little, and she used to teach me Lata Mangeshkar songs, which are I think are like very. That's the basis, I think in India that's the gem. Everybody's going back to that music today also because it's got so much to learn from from for a musician, like it's just gold mine of good rich music. So all that was the basis and influence, and then when I wanted to do something of my own, of course I was growing up, I was listening to all genres of music. That happened only once I was above 20s 18 plus, when I my exposure and I went to college. I suddenly was like, okay, there is more music than just Bollywood music. So I heard a lot of other stuff. Then I had happened to be in a city like Bangalore, where the independent music scene is just, I think there's some amazing underground work that happened over there, which has shaped a lot of indie artists, I feel like, and there's so much inspiration. Somebody like Raghu Dikshit, there are bands like Avial in Kerala, who actually took this whole thing about making folk. Like my mind was blown when I first heard that album. So all of those things. I think there are so many artists who laid the bed of what is this exciting new indie sound that we're all getting. So I just happened to be, in that whole wave, and I've just tried to do my own little thing with it, with, you know, contemporizing a very traditional Kashmiri sound, which is what I identify with a lot as a person, because that's what I've heard a lot. I love that music. I wanted more people to hear it. I wanted them to hear it in a way which they haven't heard before. So, they shouldn't think of just Kashmiri music and think of those two songs in Mission Kashmir that everybody knows. It should be so much more. It started from there in a way. So, yeah, I don't know
You
if
said
I've meandered a lot in this.
you did not. You did not. In fact, you touched upon a nerve that touched upon me also. You said that when you came suddenly, you realized that after Bollywood, because you were listening to Bollywood music all this time, and suddenly you came to Bangalore and you heard there's more music happening, the underground movement going also. So when you decided eventually to, because of course you're classically trained, not really, but then mummy helped you out. But you
No, I've
decided
also trained classically, but
you have.
very like for a little amount of time. I won't call myself like Visharad or somebody, but I have learned classical music when I was young, for about 3-4 years. So that's a good foundation I got. I
But
have
3-4
learned.
years is a long time. 3-4 years is literally like
No,
any
it's
classical
not. I
musician
still
will
feel
say.
like I don't know anything. That's why I never kind of claim to be, one of those. But yeah, that sense of ragas, like my whole basis. Like first time I learned music, it was Hindustani classical. So and I was a young girl, so I was very excited. So that really like वो कहीं बैठ गया है. But I'm not. I wish I was more proficiently trained. I'm not. So I'm a good kacha pakka mix of both.
See, the reason why I'm asking you this question is because I'm going to take a timeline from history. When you say you were a young girl, how old were you before when you were being trained classically? Can you tell me that?
I was about, I think, 7-8 years old when I started learning. 8-9 years
And
old, I think. Yeah,
right, so
to
then you
some
were
amount
in
of teenage years. Yeah.
and you were in Bangalore when?
I came to Bangalore for college, and then Indian Idol happened from here. So I was in Bangalore when I was, 18, 19 years old. Yes, I landed in
So
Bangalore.
I'm guessing when your training happened as a musician, not as a musician, but then you never knew you were going to get into music. So when you were 7, 8 years old, you were being trained by mom, and eventually landed up, and you were that okay, this is the music I'm listening to, and you've been singing to all that. Suddenly you land to Bangalore, and you see all these rock freaks around. And which year was this when you were in Bangalore? When you landed in Bangalore for college?
I came to Bangalore in 2005. I graduated, and then when Indian Idol happened, since you touched upon it, um, it's very important because it was a very it's a very important moment in my journey, but it has also like done a lot for me as an artist, not just about okay, I got into the finals, and all of that happened, and there was a lot of hoo-ha around it, and suddenly my life overnight changed. But that overnight change was for a certain amount of time. You understand? So, like somebody like me from a small town like Jammu, I grew up there. First season I saw, and I used to like mime in front of my bathroom mirror and dance and be like, "Oh my God, something so exciting has come to India." It was the first season, so it was very good at that time. It was not all. मतलब अभी तो it has become one अजीब scene, so it's not that. But it was very new then. But I never thought that I will go and I will audition. And I'm saying this because it's very important that a lot of artists don't tap into themselves because somebody else has to probably give them that push. So for me, that was my brother. He was extremely insistent I do the Indian Idol audition, and I just didn't want to. I just didn't want to. I was like, no, why? Because I never took music as something that I would like to pursue, and this was just because I've grown up I knew I had the talent, but I didn't know if it was good enough. So Idol validated my talent for myself because there were lakhs of people who auditioned, and I was one of those final 20s who landed up on that stage in front of those people. So with some really, really amazing, eminent artists who are all doing so well for themselves today. So everybody has their own journey. So I was one of those people then. So I was like, oh my God, maybe there is something here. I have something because I've not been taking it seriously. So that journey, but after that was for a while, you do shows, you get very popular, you get very famous, people come take autographs, all of that. But then the whole thing about reality TV is that there is a next season, and then there is, a new this thing, and then you find yourself getting a little lost, which happened with me also. Also being a woman artist, at that time, it was, I'm talking about what, 2008 or something, right? When this whole thing happened, 2008, 2009. At that time, the industry was also just not what it is today. It was very, you could be
It
very
was not
jaded
it
with,
was not woman friendly. I'm very sure about
no,
that.
it wasn't at all. You would be very jaded. And as somebody who'd come from the background that I did come from, um, so that's what also just happened. So I was like, you know what, I want to be an artist. That whole thing experience made me realize that if I want to be an artist, I want to be empowered. It is very important for me as a person, that I'm not somebody who can line up and ask, okay, please yaar, काम दे दो, काम दे दो, काम दे दो, Bollywood में गाना गवा दो, गवा दो, गवा दो. It's not, and also my voice and my whole this thing. And that time, that was the scene. That is what you had to do, no matter who you were, how big you became, what you did, how ahead you were in the show, and all that. That was just how it was. So it also made me realize that, you know what, this might not be my path. So I had this one to step back at a certain time. I went on to have a corporate career, and I really didn't know that music will actually come back in my life, but there was something missing. And though I was very successful, there was a time in my life that, I was like, no, when I was like, when people achieve that whole, like, okay, now it's cushy, now it's comfortable, now you're set for life. Once that happened, then I was like, no, something is wrong with my life. I need to just change everything.
I need to quickly go back and ask you a question because your identity as a performer now has completely changed. And this happened because of the fact that you being a Kashmiri Pandit went through so much in your life, but then you were not used, you probably did not remember because you're too young, but then your mother, your father, your brother, people who go back to Kashmir right now, or Jammu for that matter, even they don't understand the difference between the valley and the language and all that, because we all have this thing in our head that it's all either tourism, if not it's terrorism. But you went back there and suddenly you realized, oh my God, this is my identity and I need to do something about it. And you started singing about it, and Sufism played a role. Can you talk about that? Because that is what we know you about.
I'm a Kashmiri Pandit. I was born in Kashmir, but then the whole Kashmiri Pandit exodus happened in 1990 when the militancy happened, and we had to leave overnight. Everything. I was born. I have very very faded memories of Kashmir. Not. I grew up in Jammu, so my mom, dad, everybody, they rebuilt their life from scratch in a new place. Which was completely different from where they had come from. Uh, but for me, growing up, I saw that, but I thought that that's life. Okay, we didn't have a lot of money. Okay, this is how it is, so it's okay. I didn't think of it in a way that it is a cultural. What is the amount of loss, and what's the cultural loss, and what have one. So I heard stories. I used to see how other families who are trying to rehabilitate, some of them couldn't, and they suffered. All of that, like, was in the consciousness, but it was not like my loss was secondary and my dad's was the first, because he had to leave his home that he built at, say, for example, how old I am today, or younger than me. He suddenly lost everything, so it was for them first, and we were kids, so we didn't understand it from that point of view. But when we grew up, say for example, then when I went back and I went to Kashmir with a very different perspective, and as a seeker at that time, essentially. We went to our home, and that's where something where we used to live, which was our home. And my dad, just when he saw that home, he was so emotional, and so suddenly, I don't know, something happened. I couldn't stop crying. And, it was like many many years of, like, something just got unlocked. It was like that, and then I knew that I have to do. I met a lot of people in that trip, who were from Kashmir, who essentially are, brothers and sisters that way, but we haven't really lived together, so we don't know each other. So I understood that, things are not easy for anybody at this point. Everybody's suffering in their own way. So uh, for me, that whole thing became an experience where I felt that, there's so much sadness, but there's a lot of beauty here. Don't people want to talk about terrorism, tourism? there's a lot of cultural nuances that people have to pick up about the conversation and the dialogue about our land has to change. For me, that purpose drove me to do this music because otherwise I was doing something that nobody's ever done. I didn't, this was not popular music, this was not Bollywood, there was no chance and guarantee of overnight success. But I wanted purpose. I was like, if I have this purpose, then I'll go for it like with full motivation. So that helped. And, having that purpose today, this industry is, I feel like now we can call it an industry, Kashmiri pop industry. There is so much sprouting up, so many new artists doing such great work. But that starting I think happened like that at that point, like, and I listen to those instruments, and that's the stuff that we play in our homes for our functions, mendira, trabab, all of that. I was like, I want this sound to be my sound. I wanted to, like, go in with a contemporary this one, and I want other people to listen like people. And now I can tell you that when I was on my tour in 2019, there were people from different states in Gujarat. People have come and they've been singing Hukus Bukus, which is a Kashmiri song, which nobody knows the language. Like they're mimicking it and they love it. It's in their playlist. So that's how the whole music ka shift has happened. People are listening and it's opening up, and our music has traveled. Then it's become an industry. So I think everything offshoot kahin se hota hai, and it has its own destiny. It all kind of comes together. So for me, that whole from the pain and from a space of sadness and pain, something I wanted to create something beautiful. It was very important for me.
When it comes as you being a Kashmiri Pandit, okay, and being a Kashmiri are two different things. We understand where it comes from, and the turmoil of you having to leave was a different thing altogether. But coming back in the valley, right, after what 30 odd years that anybody has played anything in that place, and you
Yeah.
see not only children but women jumping on stage, men sitting there enjoying the music, completely going berserk because all of a sudden they have this music, and you have been invited with so much of love, and they ask you to come back again. You as a musician decided this is what you want to do, went to Bangalore as a teenager to do college basically, and then you go back after your brother said you better come here and become a musician. Those emotions would have been absolutely mind-boggling. Take us through that.
Uh, it was the most surreal experience of my life as a performer. Of course, I had played shows everywhere. Like imagine playing this music to like all over the country, but not really in my own home state, like my own homeland that way. And when the invitation came to do this concert, it was not something that was so easy to just, it's not like chalo show aa raha hai chalo karte hain, like how I'm a touring musician, that's what I do for life. But that was not how it was. um, at some point there was a lot of fear in my family as well, to be honest. Initially they were like, oh my god, no, 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 but how? Because this is Kashmir, and cinema halls have been shut for 30 years. And I was going to do a public concert, and at that point I didn't know how many people will turn up, to be honest with you, because I had never performed in Kashmir, so I didn't know how many people will come. I thought, okay, maybe 500-600 people will come, maybe 200 will come, I don't know. There were 5,000 people at this concert. And I'm so happy that I saw this through, because I was very sure I wanted to do it no matter what. Because, and at that point, even my brother, who's just my biggest supporter, was really like, no, 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 you can't go, don't go. And it's true, because it was the first, there wasn't no concert culture, right? And then again, it's for me to go back there. And, but I'll have to say that everybody who invited us with a lot of love. And they made sure that, we were comfortable, everything was taken care of well. But more than all of that, it was just this whole, that evening, there is this vibe where, there is not just women, children, kids, men, everybody, like, from different communities, because there is some part of the Kashmiri Pandit community that is there in Kashmir. Some of them, some families are there still. So they were also there, and they all danced together. And there was this one day where there everybody was trying to forge bonds and bond over music. And for me as an artist to catalyze that emotion, I don't think I will ever be able to replace that experience for anything else in my life. It's not about views, it's not about shows, it's not about money, it's not about anything. all of this is something that I will, be always be very proud of as an artist to have done, and that too gone to my own home to perform.
Now, from there that you played, I mean, your vulnerability being a performer on stage. Of course, you performed live before, so you know what it means to be vulnerable on stage. But on that, being a woman artist now, you blossomed from being just that. Even back then, you were so young, actually speaking. And if you look at yourself back then, look at yourself right now, you think to yourself, wow, time has changed, so much has moved forward. And you, with this song called Huckus Buckus or Hookus
Hocus
Bockus,
Pocus.
am I saying it the right way or the wrong way?
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus
I'm wearing the
Bockus.
T-shirt also.
I can see
Nobody will
Hookus
say.
there. I can see it right there. Hocus Bocus. From there, Hocus Bocus being picked up. I mean, on Family Man, which everybody is watching left, right, and center. How did that come along?
That was beautiful, actually. The song was viral when it released. So again, for me, that was something that was really beautiful to see as an artist, because I did not think that this song will go where it actually went. To be honest, of course, I'd been making music way before Hocus Pocus happened, but there's a lot of, like, for every artist, there is one song that that just defines your journey in a way. So I think that's what this song kind of ended up doing. It was a popular song. It was viral before there was interest in the sync opportunities that way. It also had gone into a movie called No Fathers in Kashmir. So the team at D2R Films, which is Rajan DK's production house, and they are such great. I think it's also their sensibilities. In Family Man, they used a score from a bunch of bands, which was very fresh, and it became, the whole series got such a uplift in its mood because of that.
But your 5 million viewers came after Family Man or before Family Man?
No, it was a part of them were very much there before Family. But you'll see that in the comment section, the Family Man fans are going mad, which is which is of course there. But it was around 2.5, 3 million even before it got synced. So it's just that after. But yes, with Family Man, what happened is that it got a lot of extra push as a song. So that happened for sure. A lot of new listeners came in.
What you're singing and what you're talking about, I think most people who do not understand Kashmiri, Punjabi, or Hindi for that matter, like somebody from this, even though most of us who have been in schools, which are Kendra Vidyalayas and places like that, we know Hindi, or you've been to the north and all that is there. Do people come and ask you, like, how do we sync with you on language? Because lyrics are also important for some people. But I think what you have working for you is the fact that you've got this very raw kind of Kashmiri lilting music because of the kind of instruments that you're playing, and then you have an actual percussionist, and you have a lead guitarist and a bassist over there and stuff like that going on. You think that has bridged the gap between what you want people to hear and what really resonates with your music at this point of time?
Yeah, absolutely. Which was my dream, to be honest. This was what I wanted. Um, that there is this. Every artist is passionate about something that they do, and then it reflects in whatever expressions that they find to express themselves, whether it's on a live concert stage or if it is in a record. For me, I'm a live performer first, and then anything. I really like that part. That part of me is what I really enjoy a lot as an artist. So live, my band's called Sophistication, which is the main band, which essentially makes eclectic folk pop music, and we really, like I was telling you, my influences are heavily Sufi, folk, and folk from different languages. So I grew up in Jammu, so I grew up on a heavy dose of Punjabi music. So I speak Punjabi and also sing in Punjabi really well. So for me, that's the thing. While I'm a Kashmiri, having stepped out, or also by being really, I'm a global citizen that way. I've lived almost everywhere in India. I feel very much a part of the Indian culture in every sense, even South for that matter. Since I've lived in South for so long, it's opened my horizons to new sounds, in the south of in this part of the country, which is so rich. I think most of the musicians that work with me, sorry, are also from Bangalore, South Indian states. All of that influence has come in, married with my little influence from Kashmir, Punjab, here and there. It's all become sophistication. That's what it is. So
Very important, very important. Sorry to break you short, but we have only so much of time, and I wish we had like a couple of more episodes we could do with you. But important question I need to ask you: your sound writing and recording process. Is it you writing the lyrics? Naturally, it has to be you writing the lyrics, I'm guessing. But do you come up with the rhythm and the tune, and you get everybody else to come together and say what can you contribute? Because, like you said, sophistication is a band, and then it's you as a performer.
yes.
How does that go about?
So that's what. My endeavor right now as an artist is to go forward and move beyond the boundaries that say people see me in. I don't see myself in any box as an artist, while others might, which is great, but I don't. Um, so it's, I think, my job to keep pushing those boundaries. So I try to experiment and dabble in different things. So like I said, my songwriting is in Hindi a lot. I also write English, but nothing I would really love. I don't love anything that I'm doing right now, so I'm not putting it out. So but I sing in Punjabi folk, fusion, Dogri folk, which is a Jammu's. When people think about J&K, they only think Kashmir. I think that is also something that I would like to change as an artist. Dogri is a very rich language. I've learned it. I've lived with that folk music, so I also perform that on stage. My songwriting process is very organic, I would say. It's never ever anything that I want to write this kind of song. I can't do that. For me, at least it doesn't come to me very naturally. But what I can do is that if I'm feeling something, I will write first, mostly. What I mean by that is that sometimes the hook comes first, like Khoobsurat, which is my latest release, which is a Hindi song, which uses some Kashmiri poetry. I had the hook first, and the hook, it was the main idea for the song that time. But then the Kashmiri flew into it on its own, and that became the hook, which is that Wah Wah Ye Poshavar San is that the hook that it finally became. But the whole idea was kitni khoobsurat hai, ye dunya khoobsurat hai. I'm a very positive person, so I feel like, there's a lot of negativity in the world. Everybody just feels really down and out, and everybody thinks sab khatam, all done, gone. There's too much social media that just like clouds our brain with like, oh, this is the be all and end all. And, I just like sometimes people don't look up from their screens and realize that we live in a beautiful world. So that song came from that space, that inspiration. So the hook sometimes will come first, sometimes the melody will come first. But whenever I do have an idea, I make sure to, write the lyrics once I have the melody, at least something. And if I find that that this is the idea, that the song is going in one direction, and then once that part is done, then I get to the band, and then we sit and try to create an arrangement with it. Khoobsurat is also that. And then my music producer Hriday Goswami, who's worked with me for the longest time on all my songs, he's somebody who makes the whole magic come alive with the arrangement, production, everything that way. So that is really how that is right now. But sometimes I barely ever work with just rhythm. For me, it's music and lyrics. It's melody and words. Because I don't think I know a lot of music. I don't think I know music very well. So I'm more of a natural songwriter. So I don't, for me, I don't get into rhythm or chords or all of that first. For me, it's just a song. If it is a song, it'll come from you inside, melody plus lyrics. I never ever force it. It has to be real. If I don't feel the song, I will never do it. It's very
So
important.
the future of ABBA and music as we know you now, a new EP on the way.
Yes, and I'm very excited about that. And there's a lot of, through the pandemic, I have been working, and I was also pregnant during the pandemic. So I've worked on a lot of new music and a lot of new videos and all of that. So I'm very excited to get all of that out. So there's a new folk pop EP that is in the works, which has been in the works for a while, that will come. And I've been collaborating with some very interesting musicians. So I'm working on some singles with them as well.
And we can't just wait to see you come down. And like you said, with the wings that we have, get your wings and come down, and we can see sophistication play here as well. I think that is
Yes,
what
I'd
we're
love
looking
to. We are
forward
waiting.
to be artistic in one way or the other. No, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. God bless. Especially give a small kissy to your daughter as well.
Sitara,
And,
yes, I will.
thank you so much. It's been a blessing. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you, everybody at
Thank you so much.
Wonderwall. Thank you for having me. Thanks a bunch. Can't wait to
Thank
see
you
you
so
guys
much.
in person soon.
As
Ciao.
soon as possible. Inshallah. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you so much.
inshallah. Bye.